Welcome back, everybody. In the last episode, we scouted the first half of Northport. We got a few upgrades and activated a bunch of tasks along the way. In this episode, we're going to continue to scout this map, and we're also going to find the HUMMER H2. We'll head there now. So leaving here, we'll just take this as the crow flies path, like we did coming up here, and avoid all the ice and the nasty crap along the way there. This should be better. And then we'll turn left and go back to the oil field, basically just backtracking our steps from where we ended the last episode. I seriously want to get back to the garage and put the balanced gearbox in this thing, because I've been thinking about it all day. It's got me wondering here, like, is it better or not, right? I just have to test it out again to see. Now we're entering the oil field. We'll just drive straight through here back to where that trailer was, the fuel trailer, and we can top off on fuel one more time. I don't know how many times we had to fuel up in the last episode. That was ridiculous. We've got a full tank. That should get us back to the next one. So we found another rock bridge in Michigan. I had some bad luck with the rock bridge, but I think we'll do okay here. Although most of it is underwater. Almost went off the edge there. If you fall off that edge, there's no hope getting back on. It's not that deep there, as you can see, but it might be too deep for this snorkel. Or, worse yet, it might flip over. Alright, so here's the HUMMER H2. We'll get it pulled out of the lake, and then we'll activate this task once we do, and start tracking. And all we need to do is pull it to the, well, it says deliver to the parking. The parking is the garage. So, we'll get it turned around, and I'll hold the winch button down. I'll turn it on, and then I'll hold the winch button down so that it actually drives. I still don't know what's up with that bug, but some regions have different bugs than others, it seems like. And this is one that this region has. Okay, and then we'll just cut through the trees here and take another shortcut. I know the word shortcut is like a buzzword in this game. Everybody hates shortcuts, right? I don't hate them. Pulling that HUMMER through the woods. It is a little bit sloppy here. The HUMMER tires are completely buried. We're okay. So the HUMMER tires that it comes with, the stock tires, are actually not horrible. I think they're considered an off-road class, which is cool. They're unique to that vehicle alone, and they perform okay, I guess is all I'm saying. They're not something that I would leave on there permanently, but they do perform okay out of the gate. It's not in all-wheel drive, of course. It's only in rear-wheel drive, so back tires are spinning. I have to let go of it here. I think it's crawling up on my bumper. There is another way you can pull this back by following the pipeline through the snow, but with this, I usually do it that way if I'm in a big truck. But in the Scout, I think that we would just be sitting there struggling the entire way. Although this seems to be working all right. We're gonna drop the HUMMER here, turn the engine off, drop it, and there's a fuel tanker up there to the left. We'll grab some fuel out of that, but before we do, let's run over here and grab another upgrade. We'll just follow along the trees here, and this is for another truck that we'd have to purchase. It's a raised suspension for the Freightliner M916A1, which is a pretty cool truck. It's an off-road class truck. It definitely has its drawbacks, but it performs well in the mud. And then we can head back and refuel off that tanker and also activate the task. Oil tank delivery. And we left the HUMMER right over there. So we'll just swing back around and pick that up. Come with me. Taking you home. Now, before we turn right and head back to the garage, I'm going to drop that one more time, and we'll just run up the road here to activate. I believe this is the final task in Northport that we need to activate, and then everything will be active. And this is just a roadblock. I'll turn around right here. You don't actually, well, I guess what I'm trying to say is you can actually go around that roadblock there. You can see to the left. There's plenty of room, even with the bigger trucks. But it is handy to have it cleared out of the way. All right, next stop is the garage. We have a pipeline down here, but since we're in a Scout, we can go underneath it as long as we stick to the right. Just barely cleared. Oh, Better connect to that side, otherwise it looks like it's going to pull it into the pipe. Back tires are spinning pretty good there. All right, now I'll give myself a little bit of room so it doesn't ram me. And we'll just cruise up here. Garage is just ahead. Oh, there is actually a couple more tasks to activate. I just remembered. We'll get those also. And we just need to pull into this little box, and there we go. Now it's ours. Jump into it and run it over to the garage here. And we'll bring the Chevy in also. Let's get this thing out, put the stock back in. Now, with this, we have the mid-level engine we can put in it. I'm going to leave the stock gearbox for now. Raise suspension, sell that. And then let's give it some big mud tires right away. These ones, they have a higher off-road rating and a little bit less on the mud. And then the MS3s have a higher mud rating and less on the off-road. The MS2s are kind of a balance in the middle of not high on either off-road or mud, but still perform well. I think I'm gonna stick with the MS3s, and then we'll sell off the Hummer tires that it came with. Definitely want an autonomous winch, and the diff lock, we'll install that, and we'll give it a snorkel. Now, the roof rack I was talking about earlier, how I don't really like them myself, but I do like the trunk repair supplies because it's a lot lower and it puts some weight on the rear axles. I'll give it these off-road lights, and then gotta have the bullhorns. And I remembered we need to sell this off. We don't have anything else that we can put in this at the moment. Let's take this out for a test run. The Hummer is not a bad vehicle. It kind of gets some grief from people, but it's not too bad for a Scout. We'll take it out and test it. This will be the first time I've driven it with these tire pack, the tires that come on it. So we have one watchtower and 2 tasks left to activate, and we can get the first task will be straight ahead here. Containers in the river. These loading zones for the service centers, they'll repair your trucks just like they did in Michigan. So if you have a damaged truck, you can just run it through there instead of taking it into the garage to repair it. Now we'll head up the road a little bit further and take the next turn off. And these are the containers in the river that we just spawned when we activated that task. So we'll come back over here later with a crane and a truck, and we'll get those loaded. That's the final watchtower. And then the final task is just up the road. It's chomping through the snow. This truck does have a pretty mean engine sound. It looks kind of cool, right? Especially with these tires. And just up here to the right, we'll find the final task. This is bags on ice. We'll need to pick up 4 pallets of cement that are scattered down the road here. We'll have to use a crane to do that, and then bring them over here and drop them off. Okay, so let's run back to the garage and pick up a truck. We can try this thing out, right? Might as well. So it comes stock with 47-inch tires, and then the upgraded tires are 51-inch. So this will be the first vehicle that we own that can actually use 51-inch tires after we get the raised suspension, that is, which will be in Pedro Bay. Give it a snorkel. It has a short frame, this truck does, and I believe personally that it works best with a low saddle and a crane. We'll definitely give it the horns and some roof fog lights. All right, let's run it out and we'll go see how it performs. First thing we're gonna wanna do is clear out these roadways. So we'll pick up a trailer here. Might prefer the sideboard version of this, and that's totally fine. And the only contract we have available to us at the moment is to deliver 2 service spare parts to the pipeline. So let's go grab those down the road at the service center that we were just at. If you don't do this contract, then none of the other ones will actually unlock, so you have to do this first. The Royal is a pretty cool truck. I like it. It does not have the option to have diff lock, and that's why it definitely gets a lot of hate for that reason. But I've found that if you leave it in auto, most of the time, you really don't need the diff lock, because auto tends to make all of the tires spin at the same time anyways, or at least close to it. If you put it in low, it definitely sucks. We'll test it out and We can see how it performs, right? When you add the 51-inch tires, it gets a lot more top heavy, but if you run it like this with a low saddle and a trailer, it helps to keep it from flipping over versus using like a sideboard bed or a flatbed on it. Tends to flip a little easier then. I chose not to use chain tires because although they do perform pretty decent, I guess. The off-road tires perform a lot better, and it doesn't have access to mud tires on this specific truck. So I'll stick with the off-road tires and then just try to drive nice on the roads. So we've got that complete, and the next thing that we'll work on here is we're gonna get these roadways cleared out. So the rock obstacle is the next one. That's the one that's straight ahead here. And we could take the left turn there and drive a back road so we wouldn't have to go around this, but it makes more sense to me to just go around this. It's a pretty nasty road. You just got to swing a little bit wide. Not a problem at all. And then we'll turn towards the gas station. If you go that way, it'll take you to, well, there's supposed to be a gateway there, but the gateway is locked at the moment. So we'll turn towards the gas station. We can run over this real quick. We haven't been this way yet. And this water crossing is not anything to get worried about. Just kind of stay to the right. And then if we follow the road up into the mountains there, it'll take us to the gateway that is open, but we're not going to go that way just yet. So we'll turn off. There's a warehouse over here where we can pick up metal beams, and we need one for the rock obstacle, and we also need one for the bridge on the way to the port. So we'll grab two and we'll turn into this warehouse. We were here earlier. This is where we picked up the service trailer, the scout service trailer. Now that we're loaded, we can turn around and just head back the way we came. It's not the most powerful engine in here at the moment, but it's definitely enough, at least for what we're using it for. See, as long as you leave it in auto. All right, now it's struggling. I'm gonna unpack this, see if that helps. I think the issue is the no diff lock for sure, but you can also see that some of the tires aren't spinning, and I think it's just struggling because it doesn't quite have the power. It's just digging down with some of them. We're good. If we had a high gear, that probably would have went a lot differently. I just didn't want to put the off-road gearbox in it, mainly because that off-road gearbox only benefits when you're planning to use low a lot with the diff lock. But since this doesn't have it, then I want more speed with the auto gear and better fuel economy, right? We'll swing through here and get some fuel. There's a lot of highway driving in Alaska. It's a good place for highway trucks with chain tires. It's kind of like a lot of these locations we're driving to, you can either take a highway route or you can take an off-road route, and some of them are going to be a mixture of both. Mainly you just have to make sure you don't get going too fast when you don't have chain tires, because all of these winding roads, it doesn't take long at all to end up into one of these guardrails and completely destroy your truck. So we've got that one done. Now we'll just run up the road and get the second one, the bridge. Let me get actually, let's see here, bridge repair. And we can cruise right past the garage. We'll just continue to follow the highway. And the bridge is just up over this hill, right around the corner. Now that we're here, we can turn this in and watch the beautiful bridge be built. Perfect. Let me see here. We can get turned around. Nope. What am I hitting? Oh, is that guardrail in the snow? I think it's in the snow. So the guardrail is buried in the snow there. That's what I was hitting. They definitely knew what they were doing when they added those into the game, because if there weren't any guardrails, it would be a lot easier. So next on the list, we'll do the lost bags, the one that we just activated. Get those two tasks out of the way, the lost bags and the containers in the river. Otherwise, if we don't do them now, they end up getting put off until the very, in my experience, the very end of the entire region, because from here we'll just move on and eventually move on into the other maps. It's kind of tough to get in around that road with a trailer, but you can just drive straight through the trees here instead and just cross the lake. It's not too deep for the snorkel. It is kind of deep though for my truck. Just close enough to reach the watchtower. Nice. We'll get the containers later. Right now I just want to get set up to do the lost bags first. It's an interesting looking truck, right? There's the little Hercules. Hey there, buddy. Suppose we should probably activate I guess it's not lost bags, it's bags on ice. Probably activate the task so we can see where they are. There's 4 of them scattered around through here. The first one is just up ahead. Just spam your clutch button when you need to so your truck doesn't stop moving. This road is kind of muddy. I think we'll be fine. Can drive over to that pallet and load it, but I also think that we can reach it from the road here with the crane. So let's try this first. Yep. All right. Now, if you're trying to pull something from a distance and the crane is like trying to tip you over, just put your crane end down towards the ground like this, and it's less likely to tip you over because your point where the winch is coming out is not so high up in the air. All right, we'll go get the second one. Now we have a little bit of weight on our back axles that should help some, as long as we don't power out. If you start to power out, just unpack it and push it further back on the trailer. Take a little bit of the weight back off. It's always handy to have a mini crane. You can accomplish so much when you have a mini crane. Now we've reached the second one here, so let's get it loaded. We'll pull it straight up before spinning around. We're kind of leaning downhill on that side. All right, 2 down, 2 to go. After this, we'll hit the road, and the other 2 are going to be a lot easier to pick up. I always pick them up last, so we're not driving down this road with a lot of extra weight. And they're pretty close to the drop-off point too. Just have to make another pass around here. I like it. I think it's a cool truck. Go past the garage one more time. This time, we'll take a right out onto the lake. The lake is pure ice. If you want to do donuts with your truck, this is where to do it. There's 0 traction here if you don't have chain tires. The other one is just ahead. Then we'll follow the lake. There's a road leaving it over here. Kind of have to slalom through these rocks. I'm gonna stick to the left on this mud hole, just in case I need to use a winch. I'll be a little bit closer to the trees. I think we're good. And now we're back to the house. We'll just pull in here and deliver these. Eggs on ice is done. Now we can drive out and head back, pick up the containers in the river. Yeah, that's what they're called, right? Containers in the river? Yes. These containers will go to the port. We'll pick them up and head back out the way we came. I'm actually gonna turn around and back my trailer into place, if I can. There we go. I can't quite get it. I'll pull up this way and get turned around. That'll be better. There we go. Nope. That's better. Personally, I like to load these right from the bridge. The bridge is just wide enough for the outriggers. We'll pack it and then unpack it just to straighten it out, and I can push it backwards. There we go. Okay, let's set up to the gas station. We can load up 2 fuel. We'll take those to the port as well. There's a contract called Fire in a Barrel that requires 2 fuel to be delivered to the port, and since we're heading there, we have 1 slot remaining on our trailer. We can stack them. They're 1 slot cargoes, so we can just stack them, and that'll help us to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, right? Off to the right is the logging station. It's pretty muddy going in there if you take that road, but you can also just turn right just ahead of me here by the trees and drive straight into there also. It's quite a bit easier. We'll grab some fuel since we're here in both our truck and on the trailer. The loading zone is on the right hand side there in that red box, so we want to make sure we come in from this end, otherwise we'll be over the top of it. Before I load, I'm going to unpack these so I can push this front one to the back a little bit. There we go. And I'll just lift this up. Another way to do this, some locations don't actually even have a loading zone, and the way that you would double load in that case is unpack your cargo, take your crane, you got to lift it up high enough to where the trailer doesn't recognize it as being cargo, pack, and then you can just load another one and then set it back down. Or we could have just manually loaded both of them. Either way works. We've got a full tank, almost full still, and a full load. We're heading to the port. The road we're taking out of here is a muddy one. We will be winching our way through it. All right, I'll cut across here so I don't have to try to take that sharp corner, and then I'll stick to the right because the road right there in the bottom is full of roots, and if you stay out of the roots, it makes it a lot easier. Actually, I'm not even having to winch. Look at that. Yet, anyway. Still going. Just leaving it in auto. Pulled right through there. The Royal never ceases to amaze me. Now we just head to the port, which is just up the road and highway all the way there. We haven't even been to the port yet, so this will be new for us. You do have to be a little bit careful coming down this hill, because if you get going too fast, you end up losing control and hitting these guardrails or the barricades on the other side here. Okay, let's get this turned in. Containers in the river is complete. We'll pack this, and then I believe it's this one right here, fire in a barrel. Delivered to the port to fuel, accept, and we'll drop that off. Perfect. Okay, that's where we're going to stop today. On the next episode, we'll pick up where we left off here and get started on the rest of these contracts in the area. Head out to the oil field. Make sure you come back and check it out. Looking forward to it. See you soon. Thanks for watching.